It was 10 yeyears ago. Southern California was paralyzed by fear.
I think all law enforcement felt like we were targets.
4 people gunned down, a bloody 9-day manhunt ending in flames. In the suspect's crosshairs, one of the nation's elite police departments, the LAPD.
From that point on, it was fast and furious until the end.
I'm Mark Brown. This is a look back at the manhunt for Christopher Dorner.
You have 2 patients. The suspect is still outstanding and are using caution.
We are learning much more about the couple found shot to death in a parking structure in the 2100 block of Scholarship in Irvine.
In the beginning, it was a mystery. A double murder in Irvine. The victims, 27-year-old Keith Lawrence and his 28-year-old fiancée, Monica Quan.
Right now, police are trying to figure out who killed this couple and why.
Quan and Lawrence were found dead from multiple gunshot wounds inside their car in the parking structure of their condominium complex. Now, 10 years later, Irvine Police Lieutenant Bill Bingham and former detective Vicky Hurtado still remember the disturbing crime scene.
It was really cold that night. It was on the top of the parking structure.
It was surprising to see there was 14 shell casings on the ground surrounding this vehicle.
One of the things that we realized right away was this wasn't a robbery. We could see Monica's purse there. Her new, beautiful engagement ring was still very clearly on her finger.
Quan was an assistant basketball coach at Cal State Fullerton. Lawrence was working as a public safety officer at USC. They met and fell in love while playing college basketball at Concordia University. They got engaged and were about to begin a new chapter of their lives together.
Please join us in remembering the lives of Monica and her fiancé as our deepest sympathies go out to their families, friends, and those who have been affected by this tragedy.
Teammates and coaches mourned. Candlelight vigils were held, and friends spoke out. Monica and Keith seemingly had no enemies.
They would have had a great marriage and family, and it's just a tragedy that got cut short.
There are just so many lives that they've touched and been connected with, and so there are a lot of hurting people out there right now.
2 days would pass, and investigators had no solid leads.
Irvine's a city that the residents are very involved. People call in. It's, the community's very involved with what we do. And we were very puzzled that we didn't receive any calls. Nobody heard anything.
Then a surprising call did come in from Teresa Evans, an LAPD sergeant. Evans had been notified about police gear found in a dumpster in National City near San Diego.
As the National City police officer was going through that property, he found a notebook, and in that notebook was written the name Teresa Evans. Also in the gear was a name tag on a uniform shirt, and it had the initial C and the last name Dorner. And that had significance to Teresa.
The gear belonged to this man, former LAPD officer Christopher Dorner. Dorner grew up in Southern California. He would go on to play college football at Southern Utah University. Then in 2002, he joined the Navy and was rated as a marksman. In 2005, he enrolled in the Los Angeles Police Academy. The following year, he was recalled by the Navy and sent to the Middle East. Then, in the summer of 2007, he rejoined the LAPD, but his tenure was brief. Shortly after his return, Dorner was fired after he made a complaint against his field training officer, Sergeant Teresa Evans.
How did she describe Christopher Dorner?
She described him as a trainee. She did not have flattering things to say about him.
Dorner claimed Evans used excessive force, kicking a mentally ill suspect during an arrest. Following an investigation, the department fired Dorner, claiming he made false statements. Dorner tried to get his job back, and he appealed to the Board of Rights, but his appeal was denied. Dorner's career with the LAPD was over. It was Randall Quan, a former captain with the LAPD, and Monica Quan's father, who represented Dorner at his hearing in front of the Board of Rights.
Teresa had heard about what had happened to Randy's daughter, and then when this phone call came from the National City Police Department reporting that police gear belonging to Christopher Dorner had been found in the dumpster, she made the connection, believing that potentially Christopher Dorner may have some involvement in Monica Quan's murder.
And Initially, on identifying him, one of the things that I remember was that he had a lot of guns that were registered to him.
3 days after the double murder, Dorner was their lead. Then another troubling discovery, a manifesto posted by Dorner on Facebook. In it, Dorner claimed evidence that supported his claim was ignored in order to advance the career of his training officer. Dorner named several people involved in his Board of Rights hearing, including Randall Quan, and wrote this: "I never had the opportunity to have a family of my own. I'm terminating yours." I spoke with retired LAPD Captain William Hayes. He was named in Dorner's Manifesto.
Dorner had worked for me in Harbor Division, and I was actually the one that initiated the complaint against him. Based on what he had done to Randy Quan's family, it was something that was very significant, and we all took very seriously and were concerned. And this is the first time that somebody had really gone after people's families.
Dorner painted the LAPD as racist and corrupt. He wrote about his military training, his knowledge of intelligence tactics and weapons training. He wrote about the arsenal of weapons in his possession, and this warning for any members of law enforcement who would attempt to stop him: think before you attempt to intervene. You will not survive. Later that day, investigators in Irvine received surveillance video from police in National City.
It was clear from the video that it was in fact Chris Dorner that had dumped that property.
The video showed Dorner driving a dark gray Nissan Titan. Investigators then take another look at surveillance video from near the Irvine crime scene.
And we saw that same distinctive truck in the hours leading up to the homicide, driving back and forth, parking, repositioning.
We knew he was the one that had killed Keith Lawrence and Monica Quan.
Christopher Dorner was seeking revenge. His rampage had begun, and an all-out manhunt was now underway.
Breaking news.
Appears to be a shocking case of revenge. The prime suspect, a former LAPD officer who admits to doing it on a manifesto that he posted online just hours after the shooting. And the scary thing is, this officer is still out there. He's fully armed, and he has publicly stated that he will kill any officer who tries to arrest him.
The Los Angeles Police Department and our allied law enforcement agencies are implementing all measures possible to ensure the safety of our LAPD personnel, their families, and the Los Angeles community.
Meanwhile, Dorner had moved south from Irvine to San Diego. A man matching his description tied up an 81-year-old man and tried to steal his boat. He claimed he was headed for Mexico, but a rope became wrapped in the propeller. The boat was unusable. Dorner remained in Southern California, and soon his rampage would bring more bloodshed.
The 187 suspect number.
Here's what he is expected to be driving. It's a 2005 Nissan Titan pickup truck. You see him. Call 911.
It's the day after Christopher Dorner was named a suspect in the murders of Monica Quan and Keith Lawrence. His manifesto, discovered online, shows Dorner is bent on revenge, naming several members of the LAPD as potential targets. Meanwhile, more evidence emerges that Dorner was in San Diego. A wallet with an LAPD badge and Dorner's ID was found near the San Diego airport.
We thought it was kind of odd, almost breadcrumbs. Was he playing games with us at that point?
But Dorner was on the move, heading north to Corona, where he's spotted by tow truck driver Lee McDaniel at a gas station. He watched Dorner leave, then spotted an LAPD cruiser nearby. He alerted the two officers inside. They were part of a protection detail in the Dorner manhunt. The officers followed Dorner onto the 15 freeway. Dorner got off at Magnolia Avenue. Without the officers knowing, he pulled over. When the LAPD cruiser came into view, Dorner opened fire with an assault rifle. The officers ducked for cover.
Officers returned fire, and one officer received a non-life-threatening wound to his head, a graze wound literally inches from killing him.
Dorner left the scene on Magnolia Avenue. 12 miles later, he reached Arlington Avenue in Riverside. That's where Riverside police officers Andrew Takias and Michael Crane were sitting at a red light in their patrol car. They never saw Dorner coming.
2 Riverside police officers have been shot, one of them killed, the other still in surgery right now. Basically, Lieutenant Toussaint telling us that they were not actively searching for Christopher Dorner at the time of the shooting. They were parked at a stoplight not far from here, and they were ambushed by this person.
Officer Crane, a husband and father of 2 young children, was killed. Sergio Diaz was the Riverside police chief at the time. He had to tell Officer Crane's wife he was gone.
Regina was Mike's wife. They had a little 2-year-old, I think, as I recall. We knocked on the door, and Regina answered the door, and she knew. He was extremely well respected, very well liked. You know, kind of. I mean, I hate to engage in stereotypes, but kind of a gentle giant type of, you know, a quiet but very effective and very professional police officer.
Officer Takias was shot 9 times. Somehow he survived. Now 10 years later, he spoke with Rob McMillan about those terrifying moments when Dorner opened fire.
The next thing I remember is our car is coming under fire. I saw the video. Our car is rolling through the intersection. I don't remember it ever rolling, but I remember Karam coming up, the taxi driver, to save me. And he puts the car in park for me. And that's when I realized this guy's here to help me. So I direct him to the radio and tell him to put it to my mouth so I could call for help.
1199, we're on Mag at Arlington. Officer shot multiple times.
And I just kept telling myself, stay awake. Current Chief Gonzalez told me I was going in and out of consciousness, which I don't remember that, but to me, in my head, I was in the fight the whole time. And so I just kept telling myself, as long as you stay awake, you're going to live.
At this point in the manhunt, a sense of panic sets in. Just hours after the ambush in Riverside, new developments 60 miles away in Torrance.
There were 2 officer-involved shootings. They occurred within minutes of each other and within blocks of each other, and it now appears that both are cases of mistaken identity. Behind me, you can see out there in the distance a blue pickup truck out there. It is riddled with bullets. Now, LAPD officers were here overnight, and they were here to protect a fellow officer who lives in this area. We're being told he is a captain, and they worried that he could be targeted by Christopher Dorner. Well, this truck resembled the suspect's vehicle, and the officers opened fire.
It was nearly a catastrophic mistake. Inside that truck were 2 women on their daily newspaper delivery route. One suffered gunshot wounds to her back, the other shot in the hand. Both would recover.
She travels with her headlights off so that when she pulls up into somebody's driveway and delivers the newspaper, she doesn't disturb them.
But that might be suspicious to police without the headlights.
Absolutely, and evidently that was her behavior this morning.
Moments later, just a few blocks away, Torrance police, responding to the first shooting, spot a dark-colored pickup leaving the scene. Believing the vehicle may be Dorner's, they fired at the driver.
Just starting to wake up, and all of a sudden I hear a bam, 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 and then a big bang.
The driver was not hit. Later, millions of dollars in legal settlements would be paid out to the victims of both these shootings.
It's not good when the cops are on edge. You know, it's not good when the cops are seeing ghosts everywhere.
That afternoon, it became clear Christopher Dorner was nowhere near Torrance. After the ambush in Riverside, Dorner had fled in the opposite direction to the San Bernardino Mountains. A burned truck found later that morning near the Big Bear Mountain Ski Resort is quickly connected to Dorner. A new, massive search begins. Christopher Dorner's burned-out truck has triggered an all-out search through the snow-covered forest around Big Bear Lake. Dorner, believed to be seeking revenge against the LAPD, is now the prime target in a double murder in Irvine and the shootings of 3 police officers. One of those officers is dead, another fighting for his life. Law enforcement, knowing Dorner is heavily armed, begins bringing in tactical units by helicopter. Nearby schools are placed on lockdown. A door-to-door search is underway, with authorities entering cabins that were either unlocked or that looked suspicious. But days go by with no new sightings and no new leads.
He could have been anywhere from frozen in a snowbank to sitting someplace in Mexico, or, you know, hunkered down around there, or any place, because We just didn't know.
Jim and Karen Reynolds owned several condos near the command post. Little did they know that Dorner had actually been hiding in one of their units right under the noses of law enforcement.
Across the street is the Bear Mountain parking lot, and that's where the Sheriff's Department had its command post for its massive manhunt and search over the past few days. And if you walk with me here, we're just a few hundred feet away from this set of cabins, and this was where Dorner was in fact holed up over the past few days.
10 years later, Jim and Karen Reynolds now live in Pennsylvania, but they remember February 12, 2013 like it was yesterday. The search had been scaled back. They were preparing their units for new renters, and that's when they entered one of their cabins and came face to face with Christopher Dorner.
And as soon as I turned, he came out the door of that bedroom with a gun in his hand.
I just heard her scream and turn and run. I turned back around, he come running by me.
And he brushed
I could see the gun, and he was holding it up like in front of his chest at a 45-degree angle. Long.
Chasing me.
Had a silencer on it. He had us sit on the sofa, and then he started saying, well, calm down. If you do what I say, I won't hurt you. I don't have a problem with you. I have a problem with the police. Then he had us stand up, turn around,
kneel on the
face the wall, then kneel on the sofa and lean over until our heads are touching the wall. Put our hands behind our back, and that's when he bound our hands with those ties.
Our feet were bound, but also crossed. We had pillowcases on our heads. It was actually tucked under the cord he tied our mouths with.
So he was packing things up. It took him several minutes to do that. And then he left. We heard the door close. And we just lay still for a few minutes, make sure he's gone before we start trying to get loose.
It took Jim and Karen about 15 to 30 minutes to free themselves. Using Karen's cell phone that Dorner had left behind, they called 911.
When did he tie you up?
Right before leaving, he tied us up. He had pillowcases over our heads. And
how long ago did he tie you up?
It was like 15 minutes to 30 minutes.
Dorner now has the Reynolds Burgundy Nissan Rogue. Still heavily armed, he's on the move again, speeding down the mountain on Highway 38. But authorities have his vehicle description.
The vehicle taken is going to be a purple, maroon-colored Nissan Rogue.
He's spotted by a sheriff's unit, but before that unit can engage him, Dorner turns down Glass Road, now heading toward the bottom of the canyon. He decides to leave the stolen Nissan and stops a pickup driven by Rick Heltebrake, who works at a nearby Boy Scout camp, forcing him out at gunpoint. Dorner takes the pickup and continues down Glass Road, deeper into the canyon. When authorities find the abandoned Nissan, they know he's close by.
The vehicle's clear. There's a silenced sniper rifle sitting in the back seat.
Soon, he's spotted again by Fish and Wildlife game wardens, and there's an exchange of gunfire.
Fishing game was shot at, and they returned fire. Subject continue on.
Law enforcement from across Southern California raced to the scene. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Deputy Alex Collins and his partner drove down Glass Road, then turned onto Seven Oaks Road. Collins' partner spotted fresh tire tracks in the snow.
He's like, hey, I was down here earlier in the day or the day prior. He's like, those tire tracks, weren't there. Like, something's weird. I think we should check these cabins out.
Hiding out in one of those cabins was Dorner. Without warning, gunfire erupted.
Clear the air. We got shots fired.
Deputy Collins was hit multiple times.
The first round actually hit me in the face. It went in right at next to my left nostril, went through the roof of my mouth, blew my teeth out, through my tongue. I get hit in the chest, and then I was shot in the left forearm, and then I turned to take cover.
Collins was able to run behind a vehicle. Dorner's shots coming from a powerful rifle with a suppressor. The bullets kept coming.
The tire was shot. It started hissing air. One of the rounds skipped from under the car and hit me in my right hand.
Meanwhile, Detective Jeremiah McKay was guiding a sheriff's helicopter to the scene and returning fire. As the gunfight raged on, an armored vehicle arrived at the scene to provide cover. Gas canisters were fired into the cabin. Calls to surrender were made to Dorner over a loudspeaker. Then, a decision to fire pyrotechnic gas into the cabin. The gas ignited.
Not in all instances do these devices cause a fire, but weighing the situation and trying to get an effective amount of chemical agent into that cabin to try to get Mr. Dorner to surrender This was our only option.
Roughly 10 minutes after the fire started, officers heard a single gunshot from inside the cabin. The fire raged for hours, and Christopher Dorner was dead.
The information that we have right now seems to indicate that the wound that took Christopher Dorner's life was self-inflicted.
It's a shame. It's a damn shame that one man can cause so much havoc.
The day after the shootout and fire, life in the San Bernardino Mountains begins to return to normal. Investigators combed through the remains of the burned-down cabin where the 9-day manhunt for Christopher Dorner ended in flames and death. 10 years later, for those involved, Dorner was a failure.
He failed. There's failure after failure. Who lights their car on fire in the middle of the forest when law enforcement's looking for you?
He was a screw-up. He screwed up stealing a boat. He screwed up a lot of things. He screwed up the police career at its inception.
I knew Dorner. He had worked for me. I saw, like I said, his failings in not being forthright and that stuff, but I never conceived that he could be as vicious or as cruel as this.
The day after the manhunt ended, Riverside police officer Michael Crane was laid to rest, leaving behind a wife and 2 young children.
Every day got better. Every day we renewed our love. And I knew how much he loved me, how much he loved those babies.
Your dad was admired and trusted by his partners. They trusted his safety skills. They respected the fact that he knew what he was doing in the field.
The following week, services were held for San Bernardino County Sheriff's Detective Jeremiah McKay. 103 bagpipes played for the man proud of his Scottish heritage.
Jeremiah's bravery, heroism, and sacrifice will not be forgotten.
I know that I will see my son again. So this is not goodbye. This is just, see you later, Jeremiah.
10 years have now passed, but those terrible days of 2013 are not forgotten. This year, as they do every year, the Riverside Police Department marks the anniversary of Officer Michael Crane's death.
Officer Michael Daniel Crane, end of watch on February 7th, 2013.
A reminder of the 4 people who lost their lives and the biggest manhunt in Southern California history. I'm Mark Brown. Thanks for watching.